Hey, howdy ho! Welcome back to the Elder Worm Reviews. And today, I'd like to try something new and tell you about one of my tales from the Judge's Crypt. So this is going to be a new segment I like to do where I tell you about some of the fun times I had traveling as a magic judge. You know, it was a wonderful time. It was about 2 years of my life where we traveled to tournaments all over the place. I went north and south. I unfortunately didn't make it all the way out to the east and west coast, but I did play out in Richmond. That was a lot of fun. But today we're specifically going to talk about something that happened to me while I was at one of those tournaments, a memory that I will never forget. And so we were at a Star City tournament, Star City Open. Star City is obviously, for all those Magic players who know, it's one of the biggest circuits, if not the biggest Magic circuit that's going on right now. And really, it's a wonderful environment. I really enjoy all the judges that are there. Everybody involved is super nice. And at the time, Magic was at a point where it was at the pinnacle of a power curve, in my opinion. And so, as a judge, I was really learning a lot of really cool, intricate things that I don't think I would have learned as fast as a regular player. It was really incredible to find how much work went into becoming a level 1 judge. In fact, I earned this picture here when I became a level 1 judge. It was given to me as a gift. And this picture here was very symbolic because it was not only one of the best cards that came out of the set, the most recent set at the time, but it was my graduation gift as a judge, and the 6 or 7 months of hard work I'd put in to get to that point. But that's not what we're talking about here today. We're talking about an excellent thing that happened to me while I was judging. Now, at the end of a round at a Magic tournament, the judges will walk around to round everybody up. That means catch all the slow players, get all their slips, or the control decks. God forbid, by the 6th or 7th round, they've drawn 5 times in a weekend. And they're trying to do their best to finish up these matches. So we'll sit down and we'll just kind of course them along, and then we'll take the slip, turn it in, so we get the next round started. Not an easy job to do when there's 700 or 800 people all crammed into this room. Now, this particular weekend was a standard, followed by a legacy event, and I judged in both events. But this story is about something that happened in the legacy tournament. Now, as I approached the table, it had already been 5 or 6 rounds at this point, and judging the legacy was so awesome because legacy players really are, in my opinion, the glue that holds Magic together. And not because it's the most popular format, but because a lot of the older cards that are worth so much money and sought after, it's because of those players who play Legacy, who hold on to them and have collected them for so long. You see a guy walking around with a deck that's worth $6,000 or $7,000 easily. Heck, he might have all that money in one card in that deck. And people who don't play Magic think to themselves, oh my God, that's so unbelievable, that's so crazy. But to us, it's just another day at the park. Now, I sit down at this place, and I'm watching a guy, and watching 2 guys duke it out for this victory here, and it was a 1-1 going. It was on game 3, which was interesting because these games were going so fast. Legacy, usually the round is over within 2 to 5 or 6 minutes. It's not that uncommon for a match to be that short. But on this particular day, I sat down and saw one guy playing a countertop deck. I immediately knew why this had gone to time. Because in a countertop deck, it runs off of 2 cards. One is Counterbalance, and one is Sensei's Divining Top. Now, the rest of the deck, well, as long as it has a mana spread that's spread out, so that the counterbalance can really work off of what's on top of the deck, the chances of you resolving a spell are very, very minimal. And it will just run the game out. And if you don't get lucky and get your stuff out there beforehand, then the countertop deck will just take over. Now, the other deck across the field from him, though, was this filthy, wretched elf Emrakul deck. Now, I will tell you that when I sat down, I already knew who I wanted to win. This elf deck made me sick. So I was just praying that he would lose. But we're sitting there, and it was very interesting. They were just getting started into game 3. They draw their hands, everything's looking fine, and I'm thinking to myself, we're about to hit turns, and they're just now starting. But this match could resolve pretty quickly. This could. So we're getting to turn 1 and turn 2. On turn 3, this health ball deck, and it's running awful things like the Elvish Archdruid. It's running things like the Heritage Druid. It's dropping things like Nettle Sentinel, Priest of Titania. I just gotta wash my mouth out after this. Elvish Visionary, the Quarian Ranger, Regal Forces, Wirewood Symbiotes. I'm just feeling sick to my stomach right now. Hold on. Anyways, it was really awful. Like, I watched him drop out his whole hand, and then what does he do? He drops an Emrakul. Now, Emrakul I'm fine with. I mean, it makes me sacrifice 6 permanents, and it may take another turn, and it may have protection from all colored spells, but it ain't nothing compared to the dirty elves that befell it. Alright? Now, he drops the Emrakul, and he looks at the other player, and the other player shrugs. He says, well, whoops, I don't have something that costs 15 mana on top of my library. So now, of course, you know that when you cast Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn, which I'm going to put a picture of it up so you can read this. When you cast it, you get to take another turn. So it's like a pseudo kind of haste that we've got going on here. Now, he goes in to take his second turn. Alright? And it's this turn that now Emrakul gets to swing. So when Emrakul attacks, now the other player has to sacrifice 6 of its permanents. Now, come on, guys. We're on turn 2. He's got a land, he's got a counterbalance, and he's got a Senzai's Divining Top. The guy didn't even have 6 permanents on the board. So what does he do? Well, he starts sacrificing all his permanents. Alright, so the elf guy looks at him, and he says, is that game? The other guy doesn't respond, because he's doing the scoop of shame, scooping his whole board off into the graveyard, and the elf guy assumes that this is him scooping from the game, like conceding the game. Alright, so he starts to pack his stuff up. Alright, it's at that point that the countertop player stops and goes, whoa, 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 whoa. I did not concede this game. And then they stop, and they both look at me, and I froze. And I'm thinking to myself in that moment, oh, what just happened? Something terrible just happened. Okay, I've got to figure this out. But wait, did the elf guy win? Did the counterbalance guy win? I really hope that the elf guy just scooped. I've got to figure this out. And so I'm in my head and I'm just thinking 1,000 different things, and I'm like, okay, let's stop for a second. Let's think about this logically. The elf guy scooped. He's just gonna lose, right? I mean, that's just what happened. It's not that easy. So I go, okay, I got to make the right decision on this. So I walk away from the table, and I get the judge that's been mentoring me, and I'm going, hey man, this is what happened. And the guy looks at me and he goes, well, what do you think happened? And I'm like, I just want the elf guy to lose. That's all I really want. And he's like, okay. Ruling officially would be that the elf guy took his cards and he scooped them together, symboling that he was conceding the game. Now this is an important lesson here, because in a game of Magic, concession is you scooping all of your stuff into a pile and shuffling it all together. The game is over for you at that point. But the other player did not do that. He was sacrificing his permanents because Emrakul was wrecking his board. And so you have to really be precise in a game of Magic and understand that these types of things are important. But the elf guy didn't get that point, obviously because he's playing a bunch of elves, that you can't scoop up your cards until the game's over. Got a little excited there. Put my picture. Okay. Now, I then went back over to the table. I was so excited. I sat down, put my hands together, and I explained that the elf player conceded the game when he scooped his cards together. It felt so good. It was revolutionary for me. I got to tell the elf guy that he messed up. So He scooped his cards up, shuffled them together, and decided, you know what? I can't handle this. This is not cool. I need to go speak to the head judge. He eventually wound up, like, he appealed to the head judge. The head judge did not overturn my verdict. He upheld me. He stood behind me, and it was wonderful. But it sucks for the guy who lost, because, you know, when you play Legacy, you spend a lot of money on these kinds of decks. I mean, Emrakul himself, I'm not even sure what the price is of him right now, but I know it's really expensive. So you hate to see someone lose on a technicality like that. But on that particular day, I was okay with it. I was okay with it. So that was just one story of many that I've had while judging with Magic. And I would love to tell you guys more tales. Just do me a solid like and subscribe to the channel if you like these tales. And when you come back, who knows? You might get a movie, you might get a review, you might get some more Magic. It could be all kinds of stuff. So thanks a lot. We'll see you later.